about a television festival? Do you feel there's a need for this kind of event? And what role does it fulfill?
Well, I suppose it is great to kind of, it kind of brings everyone together, and, we can all promote the shows, and we can meet the fans, and they can tell us whether they like it or not, and, it's all good.
Yeah, I think it's a great bringing together, you're right, of both the fans and people from other shows. And, I guess the only other times that really happens is maybe like award shows and things, which kind of have a different aim. Where this is just kind of a celebration of television, which is really fun.
Yeah.
So what was the thing that surprised you the most to learn about piracy during that time?
Well, I think the thing that struck me, I remember when I was reading the first script, that actually it was quite a democratic situation that they were in. Most of them had been working on merchant ships or naval ships. They'd been pressed into service. They were treated appallingly. They were punished brutally. And when they were given their freedom by pirates, or they went over to pirate ships, they became masters of their own destiny, in that they had one man, one vote. They were voting on what they did, who was their captain, what their conditions were. And I found that very surprising, and I found it actually very admirable. And it's something that this show gets into quite a lot. It's a very political show in one way, in that a lot of it is about trying to manipulate these people into doing what you want them to do.
What's it like doing that for a television show as opposed to if you were shooting a feature film? How are your shoots different?
Well, actually, I have to say, quite honestly, I don't think there's much difference between making this and making a movie, because they spend so much money on it, and the sets are so incredible, and the production values are so high. It is like turning up and making a movie every day. The pressure on time is slightly more kind of accentuated, in that you have to get more product filmed in a week than one would on a film. But I mean, there's a lot of the episodes that you watch of like the first season. I mean, it looks incredibly cinematic, and it's hard to see where it differs from a film. I mean, the only difference really for us is that we get much more of a canvas to paint these characters in, and you get to tell this incredibly complex, convoluted story with these very complex characters that film just doesn't give you the time for.
Yeah, I think that's it. The great thing is we get to spend more and more time with these characters, and just us and the writers just get deeper and deeper into that world. And I think the time constraints is a thing. We definitely shoot faster than a film would have to, but I think that's part of the energy we're going for with the show. It's a much more of a handheld feel with the cameras than you usually get in this kind of period piece. And it also means for the things like the fights, we generally just have to go for it. It's not, usually you'd spend a week doing what we do in the morning, you'd break it all up. Instead it's like, okay, you've rehearsed the fight, grab your weapons and just duke it out.
And in a way, that kind of coarseness of the fights actually helps for the feel of the whole thing. They don't look polished. They look like they're raw and they're happening in the moment, rather than something that's kind of practiced and choreographed and very polished. Not saying that we don't spend hours choreographing these things, but we do. But they look very real.
Do each of you have a favorite TV show, whether it was a series, a children's program, something that really marked you in your life?
I mean, of recent times, I say Breaking Bad it's just a recent one that I absolutely love. I think it's one of the best shows, if not the best show ever made. Funny when you go marking life younger. I don't know, you go.
Oh my God, I'm just trying to think. I think Star Trek, actually.
Yeah?
Star Trek was the one that I remember when I was a kid, just watching constant reruns of Star Trek and loving Star Trek. And then, when I got into my teen years, my late teen years, and they started, the next generation. And it was like, oh, this is never going to be as good as Star Trek. And I was like, I love this. And I watched all of those all of the different ones. Deep Space Nine, I was a total sucker for Star Trek. Mostly because it had nothing to do with real life. You know what I mean? I don't want to be depressed. There's some times where I don't want to be depressed by reality. I want to go and just have some space time.
I'd say we have a lot of similarities, Black Sails and Star Trek. It's just the whole, the ship going from place to place.
Yeah.
When I actually went back and watched some Star Trek recently.
Please don't tell me I look like Captain Kirk. That's all I'm asking.
It's the same thing. You're yelling orders, it's sort of Yeah. Anyway, instead of space terms, though, it's raise the gallons. But
Yeah.
it's still the captain there yelling for everyone to do their
warp
thing.
speed.
Yeah, that's it. It's the same
How do you
thing,
say
really.
warp speed in pirate?
Raise the gallons.
Yeah, that's it.
There you go.
All right, thank you. That's wonderful.